Have you ever read a comic book? I ask because I've been making comic books for 10 years. I've been working on Aceblade for 10 years, and I'm always surprised when people tell me that Aceblade is the first comic book they ever bought or that it's the first comic book that they ever read. Now, I realize that I didn't start reading comic books myself until I was old enough to buy them myself. So I had to be like 18 or 20 when I started reading comic books. So, of course, it makes sense that there are millions of people out there who've never read a comic book. But today, I would say that that's awesome. Like, that's awesome if you've never read a comic book. Even with Batman and Superman and the Justice League and the Avengers out there, if you've never read a comic book, you have an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of some great stories. Of course, before I started reading comic books, I knew about Batman and Superman Adventures and Ninja Turtles and Sonic the Hedgehog. I knew about all these characters and I knew about all these stories. But when I actually started reading comic books, I discovered some stories that weren't in the comics, that weren't in the that weren't in the cartoons or weren't in the movies, because a lot of the stuff doesn't make it to the big screen, and a lot of it is really good. So I want to tell you about Aceblade. If you are considering reading a comic book for the first time, I would hope you would check out an indie comic book like mine. So this is Aceblade, and these are the first 4 issues. It's a superhero vigilante comic book about a man who believes he's the best fighter in the world. And in order to do that, he puts on a mask and decides to fight supervillains in his city, but he doesn't have any powers at all. So those first 4 issues are called the Vigilante Complex, and this is what I consider the origin story of Aceblade, you know, kinda. Then we jump to a year later when Aceblade is kind of established in the city and we have villain season. This is a one-shot. A one-shot is basically a story that's kind of outside of the main continuity, but, you know, it all happens in one story. And Aceblade villain season is basically the story where Aceblade has to fight 4 villains in one night or risk becoming a villain himself. So this is actually my personal favorite issue of Aceblade so far, and yeah, it's my favorite. Then we got issues 6, 7, and 8, which are the beginning of the next chapter of Aceblade, called Cash Rules Everything Around Me. This is going to be 5 parts, and I believe issues 9 and 10 are going to be coming out by the end of this year, hopefully. And then what we're going to do is collect it all into one omnibus. We'll have all 10 issues in a collected hardcover edition for people to check out if they want to get the whole thing. Now, we also have a graphic novel with the first 4 issues in it, but I think the single issues are the best way to experience Aceblade. You don't have to, you know, read the whole thing at one time. You can take one issue, come back the next couple of days and read the next one. So if you have any questions about any indie comic or about the process of reading comics, or you're interested in checking out Aceblade, yo, drop me your questions. I like to respond. I'm usually online, you know, during some parts of the day, so I'll probably see your questions. But again, my name is Danny J. Quick. I appreciate y'all checking us out. But until next time, stay vigilant, my friends. I'm out of here.